Hello everybody, ciao a tutti and welcome to Art with Ms.B. Today I'm going to guide you in a nice drawing activity. We're going to study a still life, always with the focus on the element of space, and this time also on the element of color and value. Every other drawing practices, so if you didn't practice with me before, I suggest you to check all the drawing practices that I'm posting. They are fantastic if you want to boost your drawing skill, if you want to become a little better, if you are a beginner and intermediate and you want to give yourself an opportunity to practice every week or every 2 weeks. Today we are going to work with a coloring pencil and one color, so it's going to be a monochromatic still life. Monochromatic exercise, they can be not only very beautiful and so very rewarding at the end, but it's a very good way that I used in school with my students to analyze the power of color and the power of the element of value, which is the beautiful alternation between light and darkness, right? The pattern of light and shadow. Without that, all the drawing will look very flat, not very interesting. You cannot, without value, you cannot give your piece an idea, suggestion, three-dimensionality and depth, which is instead what we want to do mostly when we do more realistic and traditional drawing. So for my exercise, I'm going to use a beautiful, intense, loaded red violet. You are free to do the exercise with any of your favorite color. I'm using this one because I feel that visually through the camera and the video, the effect will be very clear for you to see and follow and understand. But if you want to use a lighter color, if you want to use a different color, just go for it. We're going to do the whole things like a drawing, so sketching and coloring with this pencil. We are going to review some space devices such as positioning, sizing and overlapping, and of course the value and the way that we interpret it and the way that the value really shape and make our drawing completely different. You can use a drawing pencil, paper, your drawing journal if you have one, just a regular piece of white paper. This time we're not going to brush any watercolor, so the paper doesn't have to hold any wet material, but just a dry pencil. I'm going to switch the camera, and remember, keep the audio on because I will carefully guide you step by step in a way that you can truly and fully understand the process. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, go back and practice with other drawing practices. If you have any question, let me know the question in the comment and I will be more than happy to get back to you as fast as possible, and let me know also how the practice went for you. I'm going to turn the camera so we can start. Ciao. Okay, friends. This is the paper that I have available, and let's use our coloring pencil like a regular drawing pencil, okay? We're gonna create some overlapping with the lines, don't worry about it, they're going to be blended all together at the end. So first I'm gonna trace sort of a sketchy, delicate, gentle lines. This is gonna be the plane, so in this case the table, so I know where to display the three different objects that we're gonna do. We're gonna do a vase, we're gonna do an apple, and inside the vase a flower. No more than that, so we can truly focus on the element of value. So first I think that I will position my apple over here. So we're gonna go, as you see, I do not put the pencil and do one line, but I proceed in this, with this very segmented line, so I can truly direction the line the way that I want it. And I'm sure that I have the shape that I truly want it for my apple. I'm gonna bring this so you create a little hook, and here is gonna be the stem coming out. We're going to shape the bottom a little differently now that we have the main shape, and you're gonna keep working on those lines until you have exactly the lines that you want to follow. Now I'm going to position the vase a little bit behind the apple, and because I want to make sure that this apple looks in the foreground, I will create a little overlapping between the vase and the apple. That overlapping will reinforce the idea of three-dimensionality. So pretend that the vase is going to be on the back of the apple. We don't care if I need to trace the line on the apple itself. Once we color, it will disappear. Remember that we are not going to do a straight line, but we are going to round up our lines and round it up as well on the back. For here, we will do the same. We round up the line and we round it up on the back. Okay, let's say that this will be the water. You will do basically the same elliptic shapes that you did from the top and from the bottom. Now we are going to create the stem for the only flower that we're going to put in this vase. I'm gonna double this line, going down, and then we're gonna do the flower. This is still part of the stem, and then we develop the petal. Remember, the petal, we don't want them to look too perfect. We don't want them to look all the same, right? They have to be definitely consistent, but remember, friends, this is a flower. So the flower is oriented that way, and maybe we can add also a leaves coming out to give us more opportunity to color and use like and focus on this element of the value, right? So let's say that the light comes from these directions. This half of the picture will be lighter compared to the other half, right? So in the apple, which means that this one would definitely be the darkest point. Then we have a one that is like a medium, and then this one will be the lightest. The base, this side will be definitely the darker, then we're gonna have a medium, and this one is gonna be the light. These petals will be definitely the darkest, but this one I will also dark it up pretty much because it doesn't face, you know, the light, and then you can light up the rest. Okay, now we're gonna start the coloring, and we're gonna proceed with tiny little strokes. I'm not pushing hard, so do not add any pressure, not yet. We are going to color first, setting already the different tone and shade, like in tint, like when we shade, I would say more than tint, when we want it to be darker. Then very light, we proceed on to the second part of the apple. We dark it up a little more. We go on top of the line because we don't want the line to be truly visible. And you will see my strokes, like underneath my strokes, you see a lot of texture just because I'm using watercolor paper. I'm just obsessed with the texture. So we're gonna dark up, of course. We're gonna start to dark up some of the details, right, behind the stem, because we're gonna have a little projection. So the cast shadow, the shadow that object project. We're gonna go back on this side and we're gonna load it up with color. You can do this exercise also with pastels. I feel that for beginner, you have more control, excuse me, on the coloring pencil. And this is why I always make my students do this exercise with the coloring pencil first. So let's make sure that the transitions are nice and smooth. And this is our apple. I will go back over here, adding a little bit more pressure because I want this specific part to be the, you know, the darkest. Now we are going to start the coloring on our vase. We proceed the same. Here we are going to dark it up. We can even kind of try to do some transparency, but don't focus too much about that, okay? We are focusing on how value impact the character and the essence of our drawing, and how working with just one color in a monochromatic picture can help the focus, like it can help us to stay focused on value, because sometimes when we use multicolor, of course, we're gonna still focus on the element of value, the element of space. However, we are going to also get a little like a very engaged and so a little distracted maybe by the color. So I'm doing vertical just because I want to support the shape of the vase. This is cylinder. I'm going back here. I want to dark up the bottom, and I will dark up again the stem if you want to have this illusion of transparency of the vase. We can start, go on the leaf. This side is going to be darker than this one. And as you notice, I do not color entirely. I leave some gaps because you always have some reflection of the lights filtering the petals. And so if you leave some variation on the leaves, you make your drawing even more like natural and interesting. We are going to now shade, and remember, if you have it dark here, here is going to be the opposite. So this side is going to be darker, and then we light it up. We dark up this one and this one, and we leave the outside as it is. I'm gonna go back over here. We're gonna make sure that we do it darker, 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 as dark as possible. If you're using a different color than mine, the effect, the general result might be a little different, but not that much. Remember, the technique is what we are focusing on. At the end, you will have a beautiful dramatic piece, because I feel that monochromatic artworks are indeed very dramatic. They have this sense of, I don't know, stillness, something like almost mute. And so they hit your eyes in a different way. This one is gonna be pretty dark. This petal is gonna be pretty dark, mostly on this side. And then I release a little bit of pressure. This one gonna do pretty dark, pressing hard and going more times, multiple times on the same spot. Here I wanna do it again, very dark. Light it up a little bit, not that much, because anyway the light is hitting the flowers inside, but we cannot truly see the inside, right? So overall the petal will be pretty dark, and then maybe lighter here, right, at the top. You can even do one color, basically all the same, and then you go back where you desire to go back and go over and over. So you increase that saturation of the color, you will increase this intensity and the contrast. This one is going to be light, and then we're gonna start to dark it up on the other side. Now we are going to go back. I'm going to go back over here on the stem. I will work a little bit on the water. Just to suggest this nice, funny idea of transparency. You see, we barely notice anymore the vase behind the apple. We can shade and blend even with a tip of our finger, but with coloring pencil doesn't work exactly the same that with regular drawing pencil, mostly when they're soft. Now we are going to set the shadow, right? So we say that this side is lighter, so this side of the table will be way light. And we're going to set some color first on the other side. Here we're gonna have a pretty dark, because you also have the contraposition, like in the overlapping of the vase and the apple. We're gonna go down. And here is when we start to truly dark it up. So here, when we have the projection of the apple on the table, on this plane, and therefore is going to be our darkest spot. The same over here, because we have the shadow will project behind the apple. We cannot see it because there is the apple, right? So we cannot dark up over the apple, but definitely this area will be also very dark because it's projecting, right? And then we light up and resume the regular type of coloring. If you want to go over this side of the vase, because we say that we want to give this effect of transparency, of course you will be able to see through, right? And you will be able to see through the vase. But remember that you want to be gentle and you want to dark it. You don't want to dark it up too much, because otherwise it's not going to make any more sense and it's going to compete with this beautiful shadow that we create on the other side, right? Probably the transition between this shadow and the light table is going to be just slightly smoother, so we're going to dark up a little bit around, back up. Oopsie. And if you don't want to leave the wall as it is, sometimes what I do, I like to do cross-hatching. So I do these diagonal strokes, pretty long, pretty intuitive, nothing difficult, nothing fancy. And I'm gonna bring them also over here, just light them up a little bit, very, very light this side. Then I'm going to bring this up a little more. Then what I would do, I will turn my paper so I can go in the other direction and have this overlapping of this cross hatching. I will load it up a little more, which means that I will do more lines over here compared to over there, because the proximity of the lines and the proximity and the intensity of overlapping will make this side of the wall look darker. Mostly if you want to do a little darker, behind the flower, sort of a projection of the shadow of the flower, the leaves and the vase onto the wall as well, which show definitely care to details and accuracy. And then super sparse and scarce on the other side. Let me see, I'm gonna go back this way. And now you see, and it will make sense for you, we have light, dark, overall pretty dark because the light hit the inside of the flower, which we cannot see, and the tip of the petals, right? Then we have here some, nice gaps and some medium and light alternating on the leaves. Overall pretty dark the other side of the leaf. Definitely dark the stem and the vein of the leaf. Shadow on the vase, mid-tones over here, extremely light when the light hit. Contrary, like an opposite, because the light will hit over there, not that much because there is a leaf, so inside is dark, here is lighter, and we leave some of the part completely white. We create this illusion of the water. The transparency. And in the apple we did the same. This is the lightest part because the light we did the apple over here. Then you have the light, medium dark, very dark tones, and extremely dark in the cast shadow, which is the darkest point of our drawing. The table consequently will be darker here and lighter there, and then we did this nice, quick and easy cross-hatching for the wall to reinforce this idea of the light, the direction that the light has in this drawing. I'm going to probably bring it down, bring this overlapping a little closer to the base. So the idea of the projection of the shadow between the base onto the wall, it's even better. Probably a little bit here. And behind the leaves also. I like it. So this is a simple practice. As you notice, it doesn't take longer than 20 minutes, even less, and it's a tremendous exercise that can give you a lot of fine motor skills, drawing skill, element of space, right, position, overlapping, sizing, and then of course the value with just one color. I hope that you had fun and then you learn a lot. Let me know how it went in the comment, and I see you soon for other drawing practices. Ciao!